this should be a surprise to no one, but I love a good comedy.
And for me, there's something really satisfying about a captivating romance.
Oh, that reminds me. Riley, you got a package in the mail today. I think it was more of your
smartly written manga? Yeah, I was waiting for that, sis. Thanks for letting me know.
That was the worst save ever.
Shut up, forget it. What were we saying?
Oh, that comedy and romance are both awesome.
All right. Two great tastes that should, in theory, taste great together, and yet that's not always the case.
Don't get us wrong. There are a lot of really enjoyable ones out there. Some are really funny or really cute. So it's a shame that a lot of them don't have the same impact.
Then that rare one comes along that refuses to go quietly. A rom-com whose entire existence makes you sit up, shut up, and pay attention. I am, of course, talking about Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Look, the full Japanese name is long, okay? Deal with it.
Hope you're ready to tune in.
She's Rila.
She's Riley.
And you're watching Bullet-Toon!
You'd be surprised. A good comedy is actually pretty hard to come by.
I know. It sounds weird coming from someone who laughs at everything.
How mean.
See? But she's right. Comedy is hard to pull off. That being said, everyone's senses of humor varies. But when we talk about comedy, we're mostly talking about satire.
Right. Satire is actually super difficult to do, but it's just so great when it's done well. When it's applied to comedy, it takes things we usually treat seriously, or just accept as part of everyday life, and looks at them through a lighter lens.
Typically, it's meant to criticize those things, calling out those especially pervasive patterns of human behavior, established social norms, or widely accepted ways of thinking, and challenging them by holding them up to ridicule.
The difference between satire and other comedy is entirely in the intent. Other comedy looks at those things and just says, "Ahaha, that's funny!" But satire is actually trying to make a point. It's just doing it in a funny way.
It's kind of why, for me, things like The Simpsons and Family Guy have tapered off in later seasons. The well might not ever particularly run dry on things they can comment on, but a lot of it now is basically them trying to make fun of everything without necessarily trying to say anything about what they're making fun of. For every good joke, or even whole episode, there's a lot of cringe.
It's funny hearing you talk about comedy, Riley. Most people would probably assume you don't have a sense of humor.
The hell's that supposed to mean?
See?
Cheeky little. Anyway, on the other side of things is romance. Love is an incredibly nuanced emotion. It can be exciting, confusing, infuriating, depressing, and yes, funny. That's why so many romances also get tagged with drama. Because drama, as a genre, is about taking a more holistic look at the human experience. A romance drama does that, but with a laser focus on love and how love affects people in the other aspects of their life, or how people navigate being in love while also dealing with life's complications. Fruits Basket, for example.
Most Western romance follows a particular template. I'm no historian, so I can't say if this was actually where it originated, but Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice is basically used as the template for the prototypical romance story. At least the ones that revolve around a pair of people meeting and falling in love.
For anyone who hasn't read the book, or at least seen any of the dozens of adaptations, its pattern of people falling in love, only for misunderstandings to keep them apart until the very end, is basically the definitive model for most popular romance stories, at least in the West. Funnily enough, it's set in 19th century England and is also a satire. Not a particularly comedic one, but still, it plays as a commentary on classism and the establishment of social classes in general.
Gee, I wonder why that sounds so familiar.
Yeah, and there we get around to the point of this extended lesson in literature. See, most rom-coms have this problem for me, where they don't really take full advantage of the comedy part. It usually comes down to gags about how love makes people stupid, and while that is absolutely true, let's be honest, that is just so easy.
Yep. A lot of rom-coms also tend to fall into the camp of, "Aw, isn't love just funny like that?" I love those, they're so cute. But that's about all they are, really. Just cute.
There aren't a ton of them that really push the envelope or try to do much of anything else. So while they aren't bad, you don't tend to see people talking about them all that much when they're done. Not in the same way you'd see them talk about the hot new shonen action show or the latest isekai adventure.
Probably the best and most famous one is Ouran High School Host Club.
Which, and I cannot stress this enough, is pretty much just putting a super anime spin on Pride and Prejudice, but in the best way. And even then, that ended years ago. So you can see what we mean about this being rare. Like I said, they happen, but not often.
Nope. But that's enough of the lecture. What's the point of all this?
Well, it's pretty easy. See, Kaguya-sama Love is War is basically everything a good rom-com needs to be, and then some.
It is! For starters, it's funny. So funny. And that's because of how well-rounded the humor is. It's not just a bunch of situations where the leads are fumbling over one another to say anything. There's plenty of humor that doesn't have anything to do with that at all, and it makes the whole series feel fuller.
On top of that, the primary source of humor actually comes from two different directions. It's absolutely a case of love making the two otherwise genius leads about as dumb as a sack of hammers.
But there's also a lot of actual commentary going on, all revolving around their different roles in society. We keep bringing up Pride and Prejudice because it's actually pretty relevant. Just like that story, this one leans on the attitudes of social classes for its themes. It's satire. Think about it. The entire premise of the show is basically that a rich genius and a dirt poor guy who worked his tail off to earn his position are both too proud to admit to the other how they feel. So they constantly scheme up super convoluted ways to get the other to confess first.
Anyone who says that the two could resolve the issue if they just talk to each other like normal people is missing the entire goddamn point! They aren't normal! The social structure of the world they inhabit has badly warped how they think. That is the satire, that the social machine makes what should be the easiest thing in the world into what may as well be friggin' rocket science.
Oh, but I know what you're thinking. So wait, the thing that makes Kaguya-sama so great is basically just that it's funny? Incorrect!
I mean, yeah, it helps. It's a lot funnier than it has any right to be, that's for sure. But I think one of the strongest elements, something that's often overlooked, is just how well the series handles the romance side of things. I think the things I most live for with this series are those quieter moments where the series is less concerned with being funny and more with being genuine and heartfelt.
Yeah, those are great. Moments like the fireworks festival towards the end of the first season, and even the third episode from the new season really go a long way towards making the series stand out. Because it knows when to dial it back a little. It's like we said, love is a really complex emotion.
And it tends to be the one we take seriously. Having a comedy that knows when to shut the hell up for a quieter moment to acknowledge that is always nice. It makes the whole thing work way better, actually. Not only does it make the characters feel more complete, but it adds a sense of validity to everything else. Comedy and drama enhance one another. If things are too dramatic or too comedic, you'll get exhausted on them easily, possibly even bored. So by allowing your comedic series the space to be genuinely dramatic where it counts, you're basically elevating the whole thing.
They're really strong dramatic beats, and they also advance that romance a little bit. It's a win-win, but those aren't the only times.
Right. There are other times where the show genuinely uses the comedy to advance the romantic side of things too. The stargazing segment of this season, for example. It was a great way to get a laugh, sure, but it was also pretty brilliantly used to teach us a bit about Shirogane and basically confirm for us that Kaguya's feelings towards him are only getting stronger. The scene economy of this series is actually pretty friggin' genius, I'm not gonna lie.
The dramatic moments and the silly moments both work because of how we've watched the series play out.
Right. All those moments where Kaguya and Shirogane got into duels of wits and ego only mean that the moments where they swallow their pride are that much stronger. Be it Shirogane going well out of his way to make sure Kaguya has a nice festival, or Kaguya breaking down and begging Shirogane to take the role of president again, not just because she likes him, but because she's had so much fun with the entire student council in the past year. Those moments only work so well because of all those silly little contests. And those silly little contests themselves only work because of the tragedy of the characters themselves. The very thing that the comedy of the series is meant to commentate on.
Now, let's be honest. Kaguya-sama wouldn't be Kaguya-sama without a really bombastic and over-the-top visual style to back up all the actual gags. Its use of vibrant colors is just great.
There's a certain psychedelic quality to it in places, only further emphasized by the two openings both borrowing from a certain musical sound that originated in the 60s, which is when psychedelia basically became a thing. But I've mentioned that before, so I'll leave it at that.
For now, there you have it. That's what makes Kaguya-sama so much fun.
It's pretty much a perfectly balanced series in a lot of ways, knowing how to maximize on all of its elements. And that makes it not just a blast, but also extremely engaging.
There are a lot of other things that really make this series great, though. Mostly the supporting cast. The characters are also great for bouncing off of the leads, and they all serve pretty distinct functions. I might actually want to do a video on that by itself sometime. They're all so much fun.
Yeah! Hey, why don't you tell us your favorite supporting character down in the comments below, along with the usual stuff, like, share, subscribe, yada yada, Patreon and Discord links in the description and all that.
Ooh, that sounds fun! And obviously my favorite character is Best Girl.
Yeah, she's totally a treat.
The show wouldn't be the same without her.
Absolutely.
Chica.
Hayasaka.
That's funny, Riley. For a second I thought you were serious.
The funny thing is that joke of yours, though. I mean, come on. Chica? Seriously?
Silly, Riley. I wasn't joking.
Yeah? Well, maybe you should have been.
Aw, my little sis is so cute when she's wrong.
I'm sorry, what was that, you smiley devil?
Oh, she brought out the tough girl voice. Grr, that's adorable. It's a good thing she's only kidding. She knows better than to go down the road with me after all. Doesn't she?
Like hell, I ain't scared of you.
Ooh, I have an idea. Let's hold a poll. The audience can decide.
All right, fine, but I'm totally winning. You heard her, people. Chica or Hayasaka. You can vote in the poll up top or comment below with your pick. I trust you won't let me down.
It'll be fun. Loser has to cosplay as anything the winner says.
Wait, what?
Stay tuned.
Wait a minute, hold the damn phone!